What's up, everyone? Welcome to the JMX Jumpmaster X podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about jumper's knee. What is it? How to fix it? What are the key to fixing it? And getting over it. Like essentially, what it is, just the ins and outs of it, and just covering how you should be handling it. Essentially, right? So basically, jumper's knee, it's when you get pain typically below the kneecap in the patella tendon. Now, a lot of you guys listening have very likely experienced this sort of pain before. It's almost impossible. I would say it's almost impossible to go on a jump journey and not experience jumper's knee. Wouldn't you say, Tom?
Yeah, I'd say 99% of people, unless your name's Stephen Christophers from Melbourne.
Yeah, pretty much. That guy seems, that's one of our athletes. He just seems bulletproof. Maybe it's just, we just handled his training so perfectly. He's never had knee pain, but
He has been with us pretty much since day one, to be fair. Since he
yeah,
started
even
jumping, so
pretty
OG.
much, yeah. But even then, we've helped almost every single one of our athletes through jumper's knee. Like pretty much
Yeah,
every single one. Every single guy we've trained has had it. Like they've come to us pretty much from the start of their journey, or they're halfway through their journey and they've had it, and we've had to help them deal with it and fix it and manage it. Like a few guys that come to mind is Riley. He's a guy that we helped go from pretty much not being able to walk downstairs without pain to hitting his first dunk in like 3 months, which is insane. Who else, Tom?
Riley. Are we just talking about our Perth guys in person, or are we going to talk
Just
about everyone
everyone, yeah,
around?
anyone that comes to mind.
Bro,
There's so many
there's
guys.
bro, but literally like anyone. And you said something earlier where you said we've helped them manage it. And I think that's a very big key takeaway where it's like it's not when you're dealing with knee pain, it's not like okay, we're going to give you these exercises and it's gone forever. Go and do what you want. It's a case of managing it. Bringing it down to an acceptable level and then working from there. And then you can keep building off that. And obviously, keep progressing like someone like Riley did. It's not like, you can go play 6 hours of pickup 1 week after implementing a new exercise to fix your knee pain. And, you're not going to be safe doing that. It's not going to work, right?
Yeah. So I've had it. You've had it. We've both dealt with it. We've both fixed it. Like I've had it multiple times, fixed it. I am pain free right now. You have it on and off depending on how much you jump, but it never stops you and holds you back, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's one of those things. If you know how to manage it properly and you're onto it, it shouldn't hold you back from progressing and making progress in your jump training. Um, so, like, what is jumper's knee, right? So we covered it a little bit. It's just basically where you get pain below the kneecap, specifically in the patella tendon, and it's essentially caused through too much jumping or too much high impact activity, where you exceed the tendon's capacity in terms of how much load it can handle, right? And just overall, just poor recovery and it can also be a lack of strength and not having enough strength in the right places as well. If you just over a week, you're going to be more susceptible to developing jumper's knee, especially if you're not doing any sort of strength training or anything like that. Um, and it tends to happen when athletes they go all in on jumping when they don't specifically have the right plan in place.
Mhm.
Right, that's a huge key. And um, why does it happen? Why does it keep coming back? It might go away and then come back. Right. The reason is you're just doing too much, and more specifically, doing too much too fast, and not having enough strength, not giving your body enough time to recover. If you got no structure, you're just doing things by random. Like one day you go, like Tom said before, you just go and play pickup for like 6 hours out of nowhere when you normally play for 2 hours, or you go jump 100 times when you haven't done a max effort jump in 6 months. That's how you get knee pain. When you just
Liam
spike
Broad
your
moment.
load, you do too much too fast.
That's literally, I'd say 99% of the cause of like knee pain when it comes to like jumper's knee is just doing too much too fast. You do more than your body can handle at the time, and everyone's very different with this. Some people are a lot more susceptible. So someone like a Liam Broad, if he does 5 jumps too many, then he's prescribed. So say he's prescribed 25, goes and does 30, might wake up the next day with a little bit more knee pain, goes and does 40. This is a real story, actually. This actually happened. He did about 10 to 15 more, I think, than he was meant to. And then it sent him back on the tendon timeline. So he's gone back into like a mini rehab block right now. But then there's some people who can, do 20 jumps for 3 months. All of a sudden, they start doing 60 jumps and they're fine. But it's really just a case of individual capacity. And it is very different for everyone. It's even different for like you to me to Jordan. So
Yeah, that's a big part of how we help guys. Like a big part of how we help guys and keep them healthy is just holding them accountable. And because a lot of guys that just do not have the discipline to control their loading, they get all excited. They just go and over jump all the time, or if they're doing their own training, they just go do a bunch of random stuff without any consideration in terms of load on their knees, and then they're like constantly in pain and all that. And a big part of how we help guys is holding them accountable and ensuring that isn't happening. They're staying disciplined. They're not over jumping. We're ensuring that's happening. We're like onto them about that. We're obviously writing their training to ensure it's structured properly, to ensure there isn't those random spikes in load. So then, pain, if they have pain that doesn't get out of control, or they don't start causing pain that they didn't have before. Because because we even train a few coaches, and they might have the knowledge, but they don't have the discipline. So they need someone over their shoulder telling them, no, don't don't go jump 50 times tomorrow. You only jumped 25 times last week. So yeah. Yeah. So
it happens.
Okay. Yeah, what were you going to say, dude?
I was just saying, it does happen, though. Like, people do get excited, especially when they're making progress, and they go and do a lot, let's just say.
No, 100%. 100%. Like, so how do you fix patellar tendinopathy? How do you fix jumper's knee, right? So if it happens through a spike in load and too much volume and intensity too fast, then the number one key to obviously prevent it and also fix it is avoiding those spikes in load. So it's very slow increases in load, a smart approach in terms of how you're structuring training to ensure you're not increasing things too fast and spiking your load too fast. You're not over jumping too quickly. You're not doing a bunch of plyometrics that you're not used to. You're progressing plyometrics slowly, even progressing, because you can even get it through strength training and going too hard, too fast in strength training. That's happened to me too, as well, to ensure you're progressing that appropriately too. And that's essentially how you avoid it, but that's also how you fix it. So how would you go about fixing, in terms of load management, Tom, fixing jumper's knee for someone?
Yeah, so it does. Load? Yeah, it does depend on. So we're just talking about jumping athletes. Most of the time it will just be jumping that hurts the most. But there is like different levels of jumpers knee. Like like you said, Riley, there's dudes who literally can't go upstairs. Like in that situation, you really just got to like hone back on everything that's going to be causing pain. So that might even include like deep back squats. That definitely includes jumping. Potentially sprinting. Some people are fine sprinting. Some people get knee pain while sprinting. That might be due to mechanics or just what flares it up and what doesn't. But yeah, the first thing you got to do is just remove what's hurting them, and then that can be a week, it can be up to a month, and you slowly introduce them to the exact same thing that was hurting them before, but in a smaller dose. And you build it up. It's pretty simple in theory with these things.
Yeah, you got to slowly recondition the body, give the body time to adapt, because tendons adapt a lot slower than muscles do. So even though you might be strong enough to lift a weight or whatever, knee might not be able to handle that. So you're going to have to get lighter and wait for your tendon to play catch up and wait for the tendon to condition again. Essentially. And that's where what you're saying, Tom, if you're in that sort of severity in terms of pain, you got to take a step back or 2 steps back or sometimes 3 steps back and then slowly reintroduce things. Like if your pain's bad enough, sometimes you're going to have to, if you want to fix it and you want to actually get out of pain, you're going to have to stop jumping completely. You're going to have to stop playing basketball completely.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise,
100%.
You're going to be stuck forever and stuck with this pain forever unless you do that. And there's guys.
I was gonna say. Yeah.
I was going to say, there's guys that come to us where they've had knee pain for 10 years and then we fix it within 3 months because we take that step back first that they didn't before and essentially build them back up again, you know? So that's where you just got to make the choice. It could be a 3 month situation, 3 to 6 month situation, and then you're out of pain. Or you try to do all these little exercises and try to add more and more and more and try to fix it, and then you're in pain for another 5 years, you know, because you're just not removing a thing that's hurting, essentially.
That is something I always see though. Like a lot of people are in denial on how to actually fix knee pain. When obviously we have the evidence on what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, like you said, they'll go and chuck in random exercises on top of what they're already doing. Instead of doing less, they actually end up doing more, ending up in more knee pain in the same spot they've, obviously been stuck in for ages.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's no like magical fix that in terms of just a magic secret exercise you got to do or anything like that. Like there's obviously things and exercises you can do that are highly beneficial and will help. And we're going to make another podcast about this in the future for sure and cover this a little bit more in depth. But for today, we just want to cover the main cause and the main issue, and that is obviously just load management, and that's essentially how you fix it, and that's the magic fix. If your tendon's
Actually,
hurting,
yeah.
you're doing too much, so you need to do less for a little bit, and then slowly increase it again, and that's the magic fix.
Yeah. I will say this, a lot of people, so say we're talking about like a basketball player, they're used to playing pickup for 3 hours on the weekend, but, their knee usually flares up within like 10-20 minutes of playing pickup. They're thinking in their mind, if I start training with Jumpmaster X, I'm never going to be able to, play for over an hour at pickup because, they've always got me on this load management stuff. But the reality is, if you're patient enough and you do it the right way and you reintroduce exercises in the gym and obviously on the court correctly, you can get back up to playing 3 hours in your pickup without pain. But it's just you actually have to take that step back first, let your body play catch up, again, do the right exercises, and then, you'll be able to do it eventually. Without pain this time. It's just a patience thing.
No, 100%. So things you shouldn't do: don't rest completely and then try to come back to what you're doing before. The pain might go away, but it's just going to come right back. All right. Don't just foam roll and stretch. That's not going to fix anything. It's not going to really do much at all in terms of fixing your pain. It might give you some temporary
don't stretch
relief.
the tendon, definitely.
Yeah, it might give you some temporary relief, but that's all it's going to do. It's not going to really fix anything. Don't ignore pain as well. It's a signal, and it's something you shouldn't push you to a certain extent. Right now, to fix a tendon and to ensure it doesn't take a year to fix it, you're going to have to push through some pain, but there's a level to it in terms of what's okay and what isn't. Generally, that's a three or so out of 10. That's okay to push through, and you have to push through a little bit of pain because if you don't, you're just going to progress too slowly and spin your wheels. But you don't want to push through too much pain, then you're just going to stay stuck as well. So there's a sweet spot for that.
Yep.
For sure. Is there anything else someone shouldn't do, Tom?
Well, back to the stretching thing. They shouldn't actually stretch their tendon. Those quad stretches where you're pulling back in your leg and the tendon is on max stretch. I wouldn't actually recommend doing that. You might get more flexible, but I've never really seen anyone get out of knee pain for good just by becoming more flexible. So especially if you're one of those guys that can't even go upstairs, bro, just don't stretch for a week. You actually might feel better.
Yeah,
especially
no, 100%. 100%. So yeah, with jumpers knee, guys, it doesn't you're not broken. I know I had this when I had jumpers knee. You think you're never going to jump again. You think it's all over. You think it's the end of the world. But it's a very manageable and a very fixable injury. And if you know exactly what to do and you know how to manage it, you know how to load manage appropriately and decrease and increase load and everything like that. It shouldn't really hold you back at all, to be honest. And it's just one of those things where even if some of our athletes say we fix their knee and then the knee pain comes back, they know and we know exactly what to do to ensure it doesn't get out of hand again and it doesn't set them back another 3 months where they have to go through rehab. And we're in the same situation. We know if we have a little bit of knee pain that we know what to do now, so we don't freak out or anything like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Essentially, we just reduce load for a little bit and then reintroduce it again, and then it's fine, and then the body's fine.
Especially
it's
there's like
yeah,
those situations where it's like a mini flare up. It's not like a massive flare up, but like an 8 out of 10. Say it's like a 4 or 5 out of 10. And this has actually happened to. I'll give you an example. Is Dylan Hagen? Right? Like he'll have a knee flare up, and it's like a 4 or 5 out of 10 pain. Give him like an easier week. I guess we call them like. I call them like a mini hab, like a mini rehab. I give them a week of that. Like a feel good week, and 9 times out of 10 they come back the week after like really just wanting to train because their body's been like craving, that extra load. But that week's just giving them that, little bit of extra time to catch up, get back to baseline, and then they can continue where they left off. They don't have to do 6 months of rehab, every time you have like a tiny flare up.
100%, 100%. You always got to remember tendons. Like I said before earlier in the podcast, tendons lag behind your muscles, so you always got to give them extra time to adapt.
Yeah.
That's a real big key there. But if you guys are wanting help from us and you guys are wanting to get coached by us, there's a link down below. However, we hoped this podcast gave you guys some good insight and it's helped you guys and gave you a lot of value. So go away and implement these things, and your knee should start to feel a lot better. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode of the Jumpmaster X podcast.